We were on a birthday trip for one of our buddies in Miami. We're sitting poolside. We get a text, put us in a group chat, says, you guys aren't running the office. XYZ's running the office. And so you guys can be a closer for that team. And so we came back and we said, no.
What up, Solar Pros? Another episode of The Pursuit coming at you. I'm your host, Josh Holland. Today's guests are, you guys know them as the Door-to-Door Twins. We got Casey Kendall and Cam Kendall. Boys, welcome to The Pursuit.
What's up, brother? Good to be here, man.
We get to talk like every day, so I think this will be a fun episode. Little highlight of these guys. I feel like most people at Pros probably know them because pretty active on social, but these guys have an incredible story, which is a huge reason why we wanted to get them on. They've been in door-to-door going into their third year, and last year was their first year managing, and they went from manager to regional in their very first year. So these guys run the United region. Last year they did just over 400 installs, which is incredible for year one, but really want to deep dive into some of that. I guess where I think we should start is, I think your guys' superpower is your grittiness. Just like what you guys have been able to do in such a short period of time, and then I get to see you guys go, and it's phenomenal. So maybe take us back. I don't know who wants to start with. Give us a little feel for how you guys grew up, because I do feel like knowing you guys that plays a big part into it.
Yeah, let Cam take his way because he's a little talker, so I'll let him go.
Cam is the
let him go at it.
I'd say, obviously, like, everybody has their own story. I think a lot of people view their story as harder than others. I think that's the biggest mistake that a lot of people make. And so eventually we started to realize that our story is really no different than others. I think that there's a statistic out there that 30% of children live without one of the spouses in their home. And, obviously that we're part of that statistic as well. So growing up with a single mom, 16 and pregnant with twins, that's obviously a challenge. And so, we remember when we were 7, 8 years old, going to work with her because we were working and cleaning office buildings, and we'd do it together. And
at 7 years old,
we'd go eating all the Pop-Tarts, we weren't doing much cleaning, but she didn't have anywhere else for us to go. And so, like I said, everybody's got their own story, and it's definitely taught us a little bit of resilience, and then growing up into, middle school and high school, wanting to play sports, that was getting pretty difficult because sports cost money usually when you're going to a public school. And so to make money, you have to just do, miscellaneous stuff around the house, or, you got to do chores and stuff like that. And then going into school and into football, which is actually where we, obviously have a like-minded there with sports, is we're always really undersized. And so coming from a background of just gritty resilience of our mother, and then being undersized in football, we were always the kids getting in fights on the basketball court, getting technicals, getting thrown out of games. That's just always been how we were. We were always the kid that, okay, hey, calm down, bro. It's not that serious.
Sure.
But for us, it always was. And, we played football in high school, didn't play our freshman year, didn't play our sophomore year, didn't touch the field my junior year, got the opportunity to finally play because we just decided it was enough. We want to play ball, and we want to, represent something for our family in regards to sports. And I said from there, obviously, our story keeps going. So
Jeez, a lot to unpack right there. Yeah. I mean, we travel through time really fast. Take me back to some other core memories you guys have of learning learning this resilience you guys are talking about, or just I think extreme ownership, or if you want to make it happen. I mean, if you want something to happen, you have to be the one to go make it happen with your mom. Maybe tap into that case. I don't know if you want to take that.
Yeah, so like he was saying, when we were growing up, our mom was working 3 jobs at the time. She worked at a bank as an accountant, then she'd work as a hostess at a restaurant, and then she'd clean office buildings on the weekend. And so this taught us a lot. We were young, but just thinking back, man, our mom she's always working. She's always doing whatever she can. When it came to sports, she'd always just find a way to allow us to play. I mean, we didn't really understand the importance of that until we really started to grow older. that it's just because she bust her butt to do that. So yeah, I mean, we learned at a very young age. We started doing our laundry at 6, 7, 8 years old. Started cooking our own meals at 6, 7, 8 years old, and it's nothing because of lack of parenting. Like she was one of the eyes where we are is 100% dedicated to her because she just taught us that if you want something, no one's gonna come here and give it to you.
Yeah,
Right?
no
If
one's gonna
you
come save you.
yeah, no, if you're waiting for that buoy to be thrown out to you, like it's not coming, and so you better start swimming, right? Like it's one of those things. So yeah, just at a very young age, we just learned like, hey, if you want to go make it happen, like you got to go apply yourself, and you got to just go. So I remember we were joined our uncle's landscaping company at 12 years old, 13 years old, and we go out for a whole summer, and we'd just be weeding and lawn mowing and stuff for a whole summer. Then the legal age of working is 15. We got a job as soon as we turned 15. When it came to we wanted a car, she said, "Well, how are you gonna get that car? I'm not buying you one." So we had to go buy our own car. We shared our car for 3 years. We shared a car together because the only car we could afford. So I think just that, like even when she got to a point when she had money, because she started to figure her life out, like we kind of grew together, right? Like we were growing up as she was, like you said, 16, dropped out of college or dropped out of high school, had to go get her GED, no college experience. Like she had to work her way from the ground up. And so because of that relationship we had our mom, like we're more like friends, and we're there to push each other to say, hey, like when she's having a bad day, moms get emotional. She'd come home, crying or whatever. It's like, hey, we got you. I mean, we're here for you. And then, just putting that into high school, just we were working 30, 40 hours a week and going to high school. We did a running start program where we went to college our junior and senior year of high school and got our AAs. So we'd open up more time for our schedule so we can go to work and just continue just developing the skills that she taught us. So it's amazing, honestly.
Dude, I mean, we've had some pretty in-depth conversations about how you guys grew up, but like I mean, just hearing more details is crazy to me. It makes I mean, if having worked with you for just over a year now, it makes so much sense. Like it really is so fun to watch, and I think that you guys just saw early on like that was just what reality was. Like that's so you just respond to it. It's like, oh, that's just how things are, right? And then I think as you guys got older, you probably started to see that hey, we actually how we have grown up or how we live is different. Man, like it's weird to see other people like not want to go after something. You know what I mean? It's probably like hard to understand for you guys. Maybe talk on that a little bit.
Well, yeah, I'll add something actually. I was, in college, and I remember one time, like we kind of keep it on the DL because again, like everybody has a story, so I don't like to use it as a crutch of like conversation. Oh, like my story is worse than yours, or alcoholic dad, or whole thing, right? And so this one friend of mine was like, well, I wish you had a family like mine. I wish you had a mom and dad and they were together. And I was like, well, I don't, and it's like, I think understanding that, like, and for us, it took a little bit, like for high school, like we were gritty in sports and stuff like that. But like, I mean, we went to college and we were, I mean, like everybody else playing Fortnite for 9 hours a day, bro. Like it wasn't, right overnight. And then honestly, it was COVID that happened. And that's honestly when it truly flipped a switch in us. And so we started looking at other avenues of making money while we were in college. And I mean, Casey started it. It really was like he'd go to places like Ross and he'd buy stuff for cheap. He'd sell it on eBay, like just to make some money. Because again, like for us, we never, like we got to the point where we could ask, but we never did because we grew up without that opportunity. So when we went to college, like if I wanted to pay for rent, well, we were playing football and going to school, I had to go work. And so, I mean, I probably could have asked my mom for the $400 for rent, but we didn't feel like that was our place. Like we've already done it, so we could do it. So, whether it was door dashing, late into the night, or whether it was, that type of stuff. I mean, eventually we started couch flipping. I mean, I had a '94 Ford Ranger. Like, I
Bro.
mean, I bought a '94 Ford Ranger before I went to college. It was $2,000,
Yeah.
and I think it made me $6,000, $7,000. That kind of got me through paying rent and things of that nature. And I mean, that's really started it. And then I think the really big switch was, like we were up in Canada and we were playing football for Simon Fraser, and we thought we were talented and we were getting the skills, and we wanted to transfer, or at least I did. And so I actually went to Idaho and I left Casey. That was our first time ever not being together. So for 6 months, we weren't together. And I was like, bro, like, this is weird. Like, I was like, we're not in the same place for the first time in our lives. I'm having to figure out our own. And it was really where I started kind of my own path. And I said, no, like, I want to play football. And I know that maybe I'm not good enough to play football. I mean, like everybody's story, like you just undersized white kid trying to play cornerback in D1 football.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I don't run a 4.4. It's like maybe a 4.7 guy, 4.8
Yeah.
guy, right? So, like, basically in the coach's office, and this is kind of where it starts, is I was in the coach's office 3 times a day. I was in the coach's office in the morning before classes. I was in at lunch trying to catch them, and then I was in the evening during practice. And it just trying to build that relationship. And I just went into the cornerbacks coach and I said, like, you don't know me. I've sent you my film 4 times. I was like, I want to play here. I was like, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know what the walk-on situation is, but I promise you, I'll be the best practice player that's ever played. And then starting from that, like understanding and getting more confidence in football, that's really what's now stirred the more confidence that we have in ourselves. Where before it was like scarcity, it was like more so like I don't know if I can do it, but I really do want to, so I'm willing to scratch and claw, and then eventually kind of grounding myself and go, hold on, I kind of belong here,
Mm.
And obviously we've met some of our best friends doing
Like
it too.
identity shift.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I've had conversations with you guys about that a little bit, like when the first time you guys were separated, and I think that you know having your mom as someone you guys relied on heavily, dad's kind of out of the picture, right? But that forced your guys' bond, even as twins, which is already like crazy, like a crazy bond, like you literally are identical twins. To it's just way more like talk about your guys' dynamic, your relationship, how you guys have relied on each other.
Yeah, it's insane, doing this experience, right? You meet a lot of people, and I'll talk to people that they have twins or something like that, and it's insane when they say, "Oh, I don't even talk to him," or I don't live near him, I don't talk to him, whatever." It's like, I mean, we talk almost probably too much. I mean, like, and I think that's how, if we get back to like our business, I think that's how our business is taken off so crazy fast because we don't always get along, and we probably fight more than we probably should.
You guys give it to each other,
We
dude.
give it to
It's
each
crazy.
other.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is, one moment we can be like literally cussing each other out, and the next moment, like, we're leading the charge, leading from the front, and we're pulling a lot of influence. And so I think that's what kind of separates us in our like, especially in this space, is most people, they just don't have that comfortability, right? Like to hold someone accountable, and to make sure that they're holding up their end of the bargain. Where us, it's like, if it's on my mind, like, it's gonna be told, right? There's not one thing that's left unsaid, and I think that's why we can grow so fast, because we're just going 1,000 miles an hour together, and if one of us is going off the path, like, it's so easy to check that person, get them on. So like they said, growing up, like, played sports together, like, we're in the same boat, right? Like, it was so fun in like high school. We're both playing corner on each side of the ball, and like, it's just like, it's such a cool experience. And then we have like some really good family members, like our uncle and some other people that are like my mom's brother, who's a couple years younger, so he was 12 when we were born, and so huge sports fan. And so he was always kind of like that guy that was like, dude, you guys got it. Like, he was just like our hype man, which is really cool, because sometimes our mom could be our biggest hater. So it was cool to have a hype man like that. But like he's what got our love in sports and grind. And even when we got into this space, he's the one like, dude, you guys are grinders. Like, you guys have all the capabilities. You guys have already done it. He basically sold us that we're capable of the opportunity. And so,
Like a
that's
father figure for
like a
you
father
guys.
figure,
Yeah.
right? And so even though he was, 36 years old, like, still today, he's like a father figure to us, but like one of our biggest mentors, because he's allowed our bond to just continue to grow, because he's just like, dude, I believe in you guys. And, because of that, we're like, dude, like, I can't let the people that rely on me down. And so I think that's what's formulated our bond over time. And then, like I said, just so transferable into, this space, just because, being a co-manager, like, you have to be on the same page,
Co-regional.
co-regional. And it's just so much easier to be on the same page when, there's no love lost, right? Like, I can take constructive criticism and I keep going, and there's no grudges, there's nothing. It's just, hey, all it cares about is how can we improve the business. And so, this is what I think it takes to improve the business. You might not like what I have to say, but in the day, I'm saying it out of love, and this is just because this is what's going to be best for ourselves and our longevity and our people. So, yeah, it's been huge, just being able to have open and honest communication with each other, and just the transparency. It makes it that much easier. So, yeah.
I mean, just to piggyback, I mean, not everybody can have the relationship that we have, right? Like, I mean, there's time where we shared a bedroom till we were 13, right? So that establishes a different bond.
Those late
Yeah.
night talks till
You know, like
3 a.m. when you got school at 8 a.m.
we're tossing the football back and forth, talking till 2, 3 in the morning, like closed eyes, just like, again, just like thinking about what could be possible. And at the time, again, I mean, my mom, like I said, she bust her ass. Like she owned her first house at 22. You know, like she like through everything.
Wow.
She still did it. And so for us, we didn't even know. Like I didn't know what renting, owning, none of that stuff meant. So like for us, it was until later I go, holy cow! Like she already did actually what we did. You know, like she already laid that blueprint. And so, you know, with now going into leadership, I think the best superpower that we have is just expectations, right? Like I know that I can expect him to do what's in our best interest together. And I think I've told you and Tegan all the time, it's like I know that if he makes a decision, it's something that I would have already done. You know, like it's there's nothing hindering that decision because he knows that it's something that I will probably have already thought about or and that's I mean that's a superpower, right? That you can't probably get from just meeting a co-regional or co-manager. But the best thing that we do is like we talk every day. We live together. You know, we freaking co-parent dogs together. Like that's unique, right? That's unique. You know, so it's like it has I've seen it now go into other relationships where managers I'm like, you know, when's the last time you talked to him? He's like, oh, it's been a couple days. It's like you can't run a business because you don't have the expectation for them that they're in your best interest,
Yeah.
right? So you're really only you're running individual businesses inside one. And so I think that's the best thing for us is like, dude, like all we talk is shop, you know, like that's all we want to talk about. Like when we go home, like to that point, like our Uncle Garrett, like he literally right when we first started out in Ohio, he's like, how's the United boys doing? You know, like he knew that like we just need a little bit of a spark
What a stud.
from a guy that like you know we could trust, and he'll call me all the time. He's like, dude, how many deals you throw in today? You know, how many deals you guys get in this week? You know, like he doesn't understand any of it, but he understands that it's important to us.
He'll throw in a deal and he'll go, People's Champ. Where I throw on, he goes, ABC, knocking them down. So
So like he gave us you know nicknames and stuff. You know, like I'm the people's champ, and I mean I actually got that in Seattle because it's about taking care of people. Like I've always been that type of guy of like trying to be selfish, and obviously this dude closes everything, so he's ABC. And like I said we kind of go by those nicknames like whenever we're around, and it's like I said it's just fun. Like I said I think that's the biggest thing about business is like there is has to be a separation between brother and business partner, but you always have to keep it fun, you know, and that's the biggest thing is we're always just doing stuff together. Obviously we're brothers, but we're actually you know we're best friends first. You know
Yeah.
that's the biggest. I think that's the most important part too.
You guys, I think of a lot of our conversations that we have because we talk all the time, but um, just seeing you guys from when I first started working with you guys and trying to understand your dynamic was like, I was like, this is kind of hard to wrap my head around because you guys are so similar. So I was like, who's doing what? And as I got to know you guys are so similar, but you're so different to me at the same time. That's what's crazy is, and I think as twins, people assume that you're pretty much the same person, probably, but you're very, very different to me. Very different. Obviously that takes time, but it's crazy. Like as similar as you guys are, you're as the same like level of different in at the same time. I don't know. It's like the proper way to say that, but it's freaking sweet to watch.
You know where
But
that come from is when we were playing college, we were trying to play the same position, and so like I said I like to talk and I like to talk crap a lot, and so I get myself in trouble. And so in college, when we're doing like a drill or something, I'm talking, I'm John, and the twins are in trouble, right? So it's like twin, you know, and now it's associated with both of us. So positive or negative associates with both of us. And so even going back to football just for a second, change gears is I had to switch sides of the ball so they'd stop calling us the same name.
oh
So
wow,
they'd be forced to take the time to understand that we are individuals because we'd have the same color, you know, because in college you have a white jersey and a black jersey for positions, and so we both had black jerseys, and so yeah, it would just be Kendall. So I would be on his ass all the time and say, dude, you're getting me in trouble, right? You're like, you do something,
Wow.
now I can't play. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I was like, bro, you got to stop doing that. You know what I mean? And then he's like, all right, well, I can't stop doing that, so I guess I'll switch to offense.
Like I said, that's just our nature, you know. Like we're gritty. Like I'm all like I said. I mean, ask our buddy Roshan. He played college football with us at Idaho. Like There's a couple times where I'm throwing off helmets and we're ready to go. You know, like that's
As a walk-on, we don't have a scholarship. He could be kicked off the team any day.
Dude, that's
We
so-
help the team GPA. That's about it.
So that's the biggest thing is helping helping the team GPA but that's the biggest difference. I think that's where it really flipped is like because again like people do associate us the same like you call me Casey I'm Casey just for that conversation.
Sure.
Like we definitely do kind of allow people to just understand us as the same person, but that's actually where it flipped the switch is like understanding that we had I have a full different identity.
Yeah.
And again, he's very, very strong at certain things in our business, and I'm very much stronger at certain things in our business, and we understand that. And so that's the biggest thing when we teach new leaders. It's like you have to delegate where you actually are strong without like the ego, right? Like I know, for instance, like if we get a new rep in and he has to get trained on the doors, he needs to see a set or a close. That's Casey's job, right? I can close at a high level. Like I mean, over 120 accounts, I feel like I'm pretty competent. But I knew that if anybody's going to get it done, it's him. If we need organization, we need to run a correlation or a meeting. I know that I'm definitely going to make sure it gets done, right? So that's the biggest.
Yeah, it's not getting done. You give it to me.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is like I think that's the hardest thing in business is you blend too many tasks together and you go, hold on, I thought you were going to do that. Where for us, it's not. I thought you were going to do that. Like you know that I can do that, and you know I'm capable of it, and I told you I was going to do it. To where there's no gray area, right? And I think business is the best when it's black and white. And so for us, we're so honest with each other. He goes, dude, like I can close better than you. I'm like, that's cool. That's fine. And I could go, hey, bro, you don't know how to work a spreadsheet and you don't know how to run a correlation. And he's like, that's fine. So I think that's the biggest thing too, like kind of reverting it back to business. It's like, grittiness is one thing, but also like being smart with, your partner, right? Like he happens to be my best friend, but I think that partnership that you and even Tegan have, it's on that type of level, and that's why you guys excel the way that you do, is because the relationship that you have. Like I've never seen influence the way that you guys bring it, but both you guys understand your role, and I think we understand your role, and so it's easy to know who to contact for a certain thing because we know what you guys are best at, or we're starting to more and more learn that where if it's too much gray, they don't know who to call when it comes to, hey, what do we run in correlation? Or, hey, like I need help on a deal. Right? They know who to call because it's all separated. It's very black and white. So I think that's helped us a lot in our business aspect too.
I would totally agree. Yeah. Dude, one thing that's even more unique about you guys is like you guys have that grittiness, that insane connection, like but I feel like what's rare is the level of success that you guys have had so fast that I haven't seen it like, a lot of times that goes to people's heads real fast. And you guys have just not lost track at all of your people. And I don't know if that like stems from kind of like what your solar experience has been like, but you guys have done such a great job of like you guys love your dudes, like you guys go all out for those guys. I get to see it all the time, and it's inspiring. And like it's like, all right, dude, like we got to do more. Like the Kendalls are doing it. All right, like it pushes me and Teague for sure. But I mean, maybe back us into how you guys got into solar and like what that first little bits look like, those first 2 years of solar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'll start because it goes before solar.
Okay.
Okay. So, like I said, playing college ball, we're always trying to find some money, right? So we were working construction during the summer, and one of my buddies came up to me and was like, "Hey, I made $15,000 last summer selling pest control."
Oh yeah.
So this was back in 2019. So this is my first experience in door to door. Okay, I was selling for Insight and a marketing company, and I didn't really understand how pest control works. So I said, the bigger the deal, the more money I'm going to make. Let me rip deals.
Yeah.
Like we're selling 99 49s. I'm selling 179s, 89s because I'm like bigger contracts. I'm making more money. Well, I don't understand if they don't get service that second time, I don't make as much money. So what I thought was, I was only out for 6 weeks, so I was the top rookie rep in those 6 weeks that I was there. I think I should have made probably $15,000. Well, I get my paychecks and it's not, right? So I was really turned off actually about the door-to-door industry. And so getting back in now, fast forward to 2022, it's 3 years later. My mom's friend, one of her best friends growing up, she went to high school with, her husband, was friends with Rex Shade, who's Smart Energy today, Lumio.
Okay.
and she was doing account management for them. She said, "This guy said you can make $1 million knocking on doors selling solar panels." I said, "F that, I'm not doing it."
Yeah.
So we elected to go get corporate jobs. And so my job had me in the office 8 to 5. Luckily, Casey's job had him virtual. And so he was like, "You know what? Like, I'm bored. I'm working 2 hours a day. Let me go try this solar thing." I said, "Dude, it's door to door. Like, I'm not doing it." That's what I said. I said, "I'm not doing it." So he goes, does it. He sells what?
Like 7 accounts in 10 days, something like that.
Setting or
Setting, yeah.
Okay.
My first door I ever knocked, set, closed. I don't know how, I don't know why, but yeah, I had a really good experience. And I was like, "What are you talking about? This is not hard at all."
Yeah, this is sweet.
So it makes a killing actually because really quick pays at the time, and so in a month like he made more money than I was projected to make in 6 months. And so I said, like let me tinker. So I started doing it on the weekends. At the time, I was starting to work 3 jobs because I was working my 8 to 5. I'd get off work, I'd drive home, I'd eat, and I'd go work at Amazon from 8 to 12 at midnight. And I'd go home, wake up at 6, and do it all over again 4 days a week.
Jeez.
And so for us, like we were trying to save up to buy a house. My mom, she like said she's tough, and we got home January. And she says she shouldn't say this, but she did.
Got home. Got home
From
where?
college.
Oh, from college.
In January, she said you have till April to get out of my house.
Granted, we have at the time we have little sisters. They're 5 and 9 years old.
Yeah.
So it's a different dynamic, right? We're coming home late, 12 o'clock, and they're trying to sleep, and you get as a dad, right? It's a different environment. But she did say that. She said, "I don't care if you rent. I don't care if you own. You guys got to leave. You guys can't be here. I love you, but you can't be here."
So
So
cool.
like I said, we love we have a really good relationship with our sisters, and obviously we respect our mom. So we said, you know what, like let's just see how much money we can make in a short amount of time. And so I said I was working 2 jobs, he was doing the solar thing. 3 months we raised enough money together collectively to buy our first house. And so basically at that point in time we said, well, let's try this full time. And so we started setting, and then we start setting. I start closing before Casey did. So we started setting in March. I was closing by August, and then by that next January, our whole team left to pros. And so this is kind of where the story.
Thanks, Cam and Chris.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. So our whole team left to pros. Well, we were stuck, right? We have a house, we have a mortgage, $3,500 a month. I don't know what to do. I said, we can't go. I had to tell Chris and Cam, which I love to death, no, can't do it.
Oh, the only recruiting pitch they've ever heard no.
Some of you guys have
From someone who's on a red line of a 3-2.
Yeah, so I said we have 3-2 red line in Washington, of all places, increasing bills 50-60%. We're electing that over whatever pros has to offer. So cut to the point where we were supposed to run a team. He said, well, nobody's got to run a team. Everybody write on a piece of paper, who do you think should run this team?
Well, because our managers left, so we have no leadership. And so they basically gave us a note card, said, out of the 15, you guys write who you think should be 1 and 2 in leadership.
Yeah, so they said, hey, who do you guys think should run this office in Seattle, Washington? Where we've never been out of Washington State before that, outside of college. And they said, who should run it? Everybody wrote our names down. And
Who
so
was 1? Who was 2?
I was 1.
That wasn't very. He stuttered a little bit. Didn't you hear that?
I don't know what's true or not.
Yeah, well, regardless, right? Like, not a single person wrote a single name down. So that's actually where we started figuring out that we had some influence, right? And I think this is the most powerful part of our solar journey, was figuring out people actually believed in us. I think going back to your original thought was, why do people follow you? And I think that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Is people actually starting to believe in us? And I'd only been a closer for 3 months. I was very new in the solar industry, less than a year in. And I was like, wait, we actually might have influence here. So we start formulating it like it's our office. Within 3 weeks, they gave the office to somebody else.
Oh, wow.
We were on a birthday trip for one of our buddies in Miami. We're sitting poolside. We get a text, put us in a group chat, says, you guys aren't running the office. XYZ's running the office. And so you guys can be a closer for that team. And so we came back and we said, no. I said, we're going to pros then, unless you let us run a team. And so he goes, well, I'm starting a team in Arizona. Do you guys want to go run that? Little do we know, there's no resource in Arizona. There's no office in Arizona. There's no people in Arizona. So we pack up all of our stuff. We get home from Miami. first and foremost, as anyone knows with the pipeline, we're kind of milking it. So we're not working. We're going on trips, but really just milking our pipelines because we have a lot of money in there. And so pack all of our stuff, pack a U-Haul, and drive to Arizona to get down here and have 0 people, just me and him.
Well, I'd say hold on. So we don't have 0 people. Okay, we recruited our buddy Roshan, who played football with us, and we recruited our buddy Dominic, who played football at Washington State University. We originally were planning to go with pros when everybody left, and so those 2 buddies actually onboarded with pros. And we said, hey, pump the brakes. Roshan, you're from Arizona. We're going to start a team in Arizona. So we started with 4 people.
Nice.
Me, Casey, Roshan, and Dom. And this was now 2023. And this was in June of 2023.
You live in Arizona. What's the weather in June?
It's a little toasty.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, we don't have an office. I mean, leadership is obsolete. Like, we just kind of were using our background to figure out kind of what leadership should be. I didn't know how to run a core. I didn't know how to do anything. We just said, hey, we can sell. Like, I know how to close. I don't know anything about APS, SRP, nothing about load controllers, none of that stuff. So we were selling it like it was Washington. Long story short, we finally get some information actually from pros guys. We sat down with Chris and Cam. They said, if you're going to sell out here, at least do it the right way. So we actually had a second interaction with Chris Malink, and we still weren't with pros. We do in 2023 in the whole summer, 4 months, we did 54 accounts with 4 installs.
We were putting on a 2.8 red line in Arizona. So anyone that's in Arizona knowing that Freedom's on a 1.0 baseline, we were struggling. We had a lot of deals undercut.
So we got 3-month installs. We're doing site surveys in home, 1 picture of the attic, 1 picture of the meter, 1 picture of the electrical panel. And that was a nightmare. And so fast forwarding to the end of the summer, this is kind of where our transition to pros is. And before I get into that, I don't know if you want to change gears a little bit or you want me to go into that transition.
No, dude. I mean, I want to unpack that a little bit because I think that it's another demonstration to me of why you guys have been very successful here. Is like, it's not that Freedom or Pros doesn't have issues, right? Like it does. Like, there's a lot. I mean, it's 2 years old. There's a lot that we got to get better. It's just a lot better than basically everywhere else. But you guys came in with this mentality of having it pretty good in Washington, had done well, came here with no resources and were just scratching and clawing. And the fact that you were still going, like I remember when I first started talking to you guys with Chris and you guys were telling me about what it had been like that same summer. I was like, how are they still here? Like, and you guys even had like, you guys were like, oh yeah, we just recruited, like you had a decent sized squad. Like they kept rolling in. We were meeting with all of them. And I was like, how are these guys? They have 2 installs. I think it was at that point. It was just crazy. So, I mean, what kept you guys like, you feel like that was just pure grit or what was that?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I mean, I think me and him both can agree. We probably came here with over 6 figures in our bank accounts, and when we met you, we maybe had $1,000 to our name, and we really depleted a lot of our funds trying to get this thing off the ground. Whether it's
if anybody's been door to door, you like to have a little bit of fun too. So we thought it would never end. I think that's the biggest mistake that you can make, right?
That's great advice.
Being 22, making more money like than you've ever made, like more money than we've ever made, right? Like for some of you guys, Golden Door guys, you made way more money.
Yeah.
Okay, but I say like more money than we've ever made. I'm spending way more money. Like we went to Mexico 4 times in 5 months. We went to Miami. We
bought a Porsche cash. We probably weren't doing very responsible things.
Yeah, so we're doing fun stuff.
All the dumb stuff.
We're doing some fun stuff, some dumb stuff. We're in AZ now. We're having, we're just experiencing a lot of things, and so we talked about quitting. We really did. Like we have other things that we were kind of curious about, and it was like, dude, it is getting really tough. Like I don't really know where the money's coming from, and getting to that meeting, so everybody kind of visualize this. We hired some guys on Indeed, and they were a bad news bears type of group for sure. To give a perspective, out of those 15 guys, we got 2 that stayed now with us, a year and a half later, and they were an interesting group. And I mean, you guys, Chris and Cam, and and you, Josh, like you guys believed in us enough and said, hey, like maybe you just need to change the scenery. And that's kind of where we took the confidence that like we took the confidence and we took it to another market. And that's kind of where things really started popping off as we understood, hold on, it's not us. It's just kind of the vehicle that you're in. Like we feel like we have this V8 diesel engine and we're just not in the right car, right?
Yeah.
We're in a smart car. It's still
Yeah.
not going to go. And
Yeah.
so, we still had like, I don't know how, but through all that, we still had this boiling evidence of confidence. Like we were like, no, like I think this is just the wrong boat. Like I think we can still do it. And so getting to the opportunity where we met with you guys in the office space and kind of learning more about it because we already knew about pros model. Like we were sold on pros. We just couldn't leave because of some of the situations that we were in with our house and everything like that.
Yeah.
So finally making that transition was easy. Getting the guys over was easy. And then trying to instill confidence to a group that not a single one of them made any money the whole summer.
Wow.
I don't think, I mean, I think I sold a self gen, he sold a self gen, a couple other guys maybe sold 1 or 2 deals where 80% of that group hadn't touched $1.
Yeah.
And they're trusting us to go across the country to Illinois, which is where obviously our explosive growth started to happen.
Dude, it's funny to kind of rewind and think about that because I remember meeting with you guys and I was like, man, these guys have just been hustling, like not had a ton of guidance, zero guidance, just figuring it out. And still have guys that are believing in them, still have guys that are knocking all day in Arizona with no money coming in. And then I remember you guys going out to Illinois, and that year Illinois was like hadn't it kind of been touched just a little bit, but not like a ton. And I remember you guys being like, dude, I feel like I got a weighted vest taken off of me. Like we're just hit the ground running. You guys start cranking deals. Because I think that first month you guys did like what, like 80?
Yeah, we led Solar Pros in deals in
October?
September and October, our first 2 months in pros with 8 guys.
With 8 guys. Yeah, that was awesome, dude. And yeah, I think it did. I mean, obviously, it's changing market. Like Illinois is a little bit different animal, but I obviously think like a lot of the belief and new excitement, like a vision, a path, like all of those things start adding up, and it's just like momentum is so much easier to generate at that point.
It's like a train.
Yeah.
It really is. Like it took us, like I said, I mean, if you look at, when we were younger, I mean, even from birth, dude, like we were 2.5 months premature. If anybody's a dad or a mom out there, like you understand, like we're each 3.5 pounds, right?
Sheesh.
So getting to that point, like that was like that slow churn, obviously, is the heartbeat of a newborn baby.
Yeah.
We're in an incubator for the first 4 months of our lives, right? Like just kind of making it.
Wow.
So like I said, it starts.
That's why he's so skinny. I mean, that's why he's smaller.
Exactly.
He's the small.
Exactly. That's why we got to be cramming creatine and protein.
Yeah, there you go.
Like I said, I mean, that's just that slow momentum. And then obviously, like going into high school and getting our first job. And like I said, we were doing running start programs where I was going to school 3 days a week, but I was getting college credits. So I literally was working over what the age requirements were because Washington passed a new law where if you're under the age of 18, you couldn't work any more than 30 hours a week. I was working 50 hours a week. And so getting that point, that's another momentum chain. And then going to college, he was the only one supposed to play football. I just went on the visit because my mom didn't want to go. And so the coach came up to me and said, what the hell? You have a twin? Like, why is he not here? That's the only reason. So again, another momentum shift because we would have separated at that point in time.
Wow.
And so then getting to the point where we're playing football together, we have a little bit of stint where we're not, and then getting to the point where now we're having to grind our butt off to do the exact same goal again, which is play at a high level. Like, I mean, Division I football is no joke, and a lot of people obviously inspired to do that. And so for us, like that was our only vision. I didn't really know, like it didn't really matter, right? Like everybody wants to play Division I football, but when we're sitting there on the sidelines and on the team, it's not as fun as playing in the game. And
Totally.
so, but grinding every day at practice and then coming home and talking about it, and talking about kind of the stuff that we were going through and the stuff that coach was saying. And
Well, yeah, put in perspective, like we graduated high school at 145 pounds. Okay, that's not a D1 athlete, any way, shape, or form. And so we were like, hey, if we're serious about that, like we've got to make some changes, right?
Yeah.
Like physically. And so we remember, we're going to the gym in the morning. we're leaving, we're doing our day. We go to the gym at night. Then we would run home 3 miles, leave our car at the gym, and then we'd run back in the morning at 5 a.m., 3 miles, work out again, do our car, do our thing, rinse and repeat. So for I think 4 months straight, 5 months straight, we were doing 2 a days where we were running back and forth from the gym and to the gym at 11 p.m. was our last workout, and 6 7 a.m. was our first workout. And just running together. I mean, just chopping it up, running together, and just yeah, hey, you want this, right? Like, you better get your ass out of bed, right? Like, we're not snoozing alarms, right? It's like, and that's what's so powerful about what we have going on, is because just the accountability, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's so hard to hold yourself accountable all the time. Like,
You
it
guys
just
have a
be
little
consistent,
hack.
right? And so it's a
Yeah.
cheat code, right? Like, one of us is like, oh, I don't want to knock today, or oh, I didn't want to get up to go to the gym today. It's like, well, I do, so get the fuck up, right? We
Yeah.
share a car, well, we gotta go, right? Like, you got the keys under your pillow, we gotta get out of here. So yeah, it's super empowering. Like, we don't really ever, I feel like we don't ever think back on like the stuff we've done, but it's like, yeah, just man, it's just
You guys should have a lot of pride in that, dude. Like, you guys have.
Well, it's funny because, like I said, I don't. It's just funny how I think about things because I don't like to use anything as a crutch, and so thinking about stuff like it, just kind of forget it, like. But that's really what made us, It's like, oh, we had to do this. It's like for me, it's like I got to do it, because that was part of the journey,
Yeah.
And even like football stuff, like for all the athletes out there, former athlete yourself, it's like eventually one day it ends,
Yeah.
But at that time in that moment, you're going, this is all I want. And then when it does end, you're going, like, I really don't have a purpose. And so that train starts kind of slowing down. A lot of guys, they just get in a little bit of a rut. I've seen it countless times on social media or whatever, where former athletes just, they don't know where that next step is. And like I said, then getting to that momentum spot where, we graduate college. We're the first of our whole family tree to graduate college from an actual 4 year, college degree. And it's just these small steps. And like I said, it honestly helped that our mom was not our biggest supporter, because it pushed us so much better to just go, hey, like, one day, like, she's gonna know this was all for what she was able to accomplish early.
She knew how to push your buttons, dude. Like,
For
it
sure.
seems
she
like
she knew how. Yeah, she knew. Yeah, I think that's what's big. Like, and that's why, like, you've seen our leadership style, our communication style. Like, it's not always very nice, right? Like, it's
I think it's hard for you guys to have empathy for other people because you're like, hey, this is how it is.
Yeah.
But I think you guys care. I think it's hard. Empathy might not be the right word. It's like,
Well, no, it is. It is the
it?
right word.
Yeah,
I
it's
say
like-
I think we've
it's
gotten a
like-
lot better at that. But no,
yeah.
you're right. Like, I don't feel bad for you, man, because I've been in the same shoes. I've been broke, no money, and I started this job just like you. Like, and I figured it out,
Sure.
right? And so, like, yeah, no, I think with you, just you're excellent leader and leadership development. Like, we have learned to, like, okay, and not everyone's wired the same way. Like, and some people can take a week to get them there, and some people might take them years to get them there, and you have to
Totally.
okay with, hey, this is this person's path. Like, I have to be supportive along the way and, like, help guide and help influence where needed. But yeah, I would say we did lack empathy, and I still sometimes do. And I, like, catch
Oh.
myself like, yo, Cam, chill out. I mean, hey, just chill. I mean, it's all right. Or same thing, like, why are you grilling him right now? Like, it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, no, you're right.
I'd
Okay.
say it comes from a background of, like, starting to understand that, like, doing something good didn't always lead to, like, good job, and that's okay. And I think that's the biggest thing, that everybody is looking for the gratification of somebody to tell them that they're doing good, where eventually it just became an accountability thing. Like, you should be doing that, right? That's something that you should be doing. You should be waking up at 6 o'clock. I don't have to give you a good job for doing something that you should be doing, right?
That was a big thing from our mom. You know what I mean? Like, we got good grades and stuff like that, and we were 4.0 and
until I was in 12th grade.
yeah, so we were always doing, everything was, we're like, compared to our family, like, we're always doing things that are exceptional, and there wasn't like, kudos to you, right? It was like, as you should, right? As you should. And I actually told her that the other day. I was like,
Sheesh.
you never say you're proud of us. Like, is there a reason? She's like, I'm proud of you, but I don't have to say that to you for you to know that. Like, you guys know, like, I'm proud of you. But, like, I shouldn't have to tell you guys that. Like, you guys have got that from me, right?
Yeah.
That's not how we grew up, right? Like, you guys know that, right? You should know that. It's like, fuck, like,
Right? Like, that's kind of how we act, It's like, hey, like, of course I'm proud of you. Of course I'm glad that you went and knocked 100 doors. Of course I'm glad that you went and got a set. But that's your job, That's what you're here to do. Like, you want me to congratulate you every single time that you do something, but nobody was congratulating me, because the finish line is way farther than we can even see, right? Like Matthew McConaughey says, the only competition is yourself 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Like, that's really how you got to start thinking, because if not, like, you're going to reach a pinnacle of gratification.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to find something that is good enough, and for us, it's easier to do that because, again, we're having the ability to show each other, like, hey, like, this is a road less traveled. Like, I've nobody in my family will make the money that I made, will buy the rental properties that I buy, and will have the family dynamic that I'll have, because it all started from really nothingness. And so everything that we do, it's just so fun because it's foreign, and we love the idea of doing fresh things. I love the idea of forming our own path. I mean, it's why our leadership is so unique, and it's why a lot of people, they're questioning the leadership because they go, I've never heard of that.
Mm.
And that's the best. That's the music to my ears. I want you to never have heard of that because, again, it's ours. It's unique.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest superpower that we have, is we're willingly going to be unique. And if we can guide individual guys like on our team to have the same mentality, or to have the same drive, or to have the same ambition, like, that's what we're after. Like, we've always played sports, like all three of us. And I mean, we had coaches that all they cared about was wins and losses. And then I've had really good coaches where he could about being a good father, husband, leader. And that's how we want to orchestrate our business. Is I don't care if you make the money. I want you to, and I'm going to put you in a good vehicle to do it. But I want you to be a better person,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, because this, I mean, just like football, right? Solar, just like pests, just like alarms, just like security and the whole thing, it's eventually going to have some day and age where it's probably not as popular, or it's maybe not as door to door oriented, or whatever the case may be. So eventually one day you're going to look back at it and go, well, that was a good ride, but what did I learn? And if I can teach a guy to have respect and look me in the eye when he's talking to me, and I can teach a guy to have respect to a homeowner that he's never talked to, that's maybe giving him some slack at the door, that's really all we're after, right?
It's purpose driven.
It has to
Yeah,
be,
yeah.
right? Because you can't.
Well, I think that's why we're in leadership, right? Like a lot of guys, like they're reluctant to get in leadership, and we've been trying to instill this in our guys, is because they want to make more money. I want to make more money. I don't like spending money on Airbnbs and flights and the whole nine. It's like, well, the money is great, but eventually the money doesn't mean anything, right? Like some of you guys and experience this. Like, I can make all the money in the world, but eventually I can't spend it as fast as I can make it, right? And it just means nothing. And so I think what's so impactful being around you so much is just like, it's now about the impact, right? Like, how many people can I lay a hand on and say, hey, I helped influence that person? And like you said, like going back to the question 10 minutes ago, but why are guys so close to us? Because I genuinely care, right? Like, I genuinely care about their success. I'll go out there, and if someone's having a bad day, I'll go put a set in their name, right? Like, not to toot my horn, but because I genuinely care about you making money.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I genuinely care about you going to pay your rent. I'm fine. Like, I'm doing okay. So let's go make it happen for you, right? Because I see it in you. Maybe you haven't seen it quite yet, but let's go make this happen so I can get you and I can buy you another 30, 90, 60, 90 days. So that way you'll eventually go see it for yourself, what I see in you, right? And so I think that's why we got into leadership, mainly is because it's like, it's great and all to care about yourself, but it's so much more fulfilling when you have a guy come to you and he's like, dude, you're my role model. Dude, I want to be just like you. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, that's like, man, it makes you feel like, all gooey inside, bro.
Dude,
like, it's insane. I mean, it's just so much insane. Like, I can never make $1 ever again, but like, just to hear those words from people, it's just like, man, like, I'm doing something right. I don't know what, but I'm doing something right. And just makes you feel so good about yourself, and that you're going on the right path, right? Like, like you said, it's like we're taking a path less traveled. No one's ever showed us the way, but like, those little things show me like, hey, I'm going in the right direction at least. And I'm taking a lot of people that look up to me with they're with me. I'm not just going there by myself. So,
Dude, I think what you guys are describing, with like this purpose and having true intention with what you're doing, and it's not money driven, which to me is true leadership. And then consequently, that stuff always comes. But my point of bringing it up is, I think it's what has allowed you guys to withstand some of the storms, because you guys have gone even this last year, it hasn't been super easy. In fact, it's been a harder road than I think most people even realize. Obviously, I get to see it and how you guys respond to it, or even the things that you guys don't even let me see that you guys just handle. Um, and it really is because you guys have the foresight of where you're wanting to go, and it's like these little turbulences don't rock you. You know what I mean? You guys do such a good job of that. Where like some of the stuff that you guys ran into in Ohio this year, some of the challenges and like that for a lot of people that would have been like I'm out, like I can't handle this, like let's move on, like, or you crumble as a leader, or you want someone else to come solve your problem. You guys view it so different, and it to me it's so evident to like just get through, you know what I mean, to really set yourselves up for, I think, an amazing 2025 and beyond. But
Well, I think you taught us a lot. It's like leadership is just doing what it takes at that given time, right? So like that's like if it's selling, if it's training, it's recruiting, like it's just doing what it takes at that given time. And so, yeah, I think that's just the biggest thing. Like the biggest takeaway is a lot of leaders feel like they've elevated, and now I stop doing this role, I start doing this one, I stop doing this one, I start doing this one. It's like, dude, when we first got to Ohio, like I was, we were pounding doors 6 7 hours a day as a manager, right? And then we're regionals. We're on a blitz in Arizona right now. I'm again in the streets 6 7 hours a day knocking doors because we have no appointments, right? It's just like that's the thing about leadership is just like you always say, just doing whatever it takes at that given time. I think the rest will play out for sure. So
dude, what do you guys feel like you would offer as like advice to up and coming leaders? Like, a guy that maybe just coming over to pros, let's say he came over in September, right? And he's rolling into 2025. He Most managers I talk to, every single one goes, I want to be a regional, right? It's like it's tough. It's a tough feat. What are you guys, what advice are you guys offering them?
Say the biggest thing is stop caring about the title. Like Casey said, like mistaking myself as a manager or regional, I don't really care. Like it doesn't really impact me because again, like the role is still the same. It's just to influence guys to get to the best of whatever that ability is. And I think it's the difference some people have a hard time with is like ambition and entitlement, right? Because both have big goals, but one, entitlement, you think the big goals are going to come because you can be lazy and other people will do it. And the ambition comes from big goals with big work ethic. So I think that's the biggest thing is, whatever you've earned in the industry, it doesn't matter, especially with how big pros is building and how big they're growing. You start from nothing, and just like we did, right? And so we came into a platform with pros when they were well into doing almost 9,000 accounts, right? Like they were still putting in their numbers, right? They weren't worried about our little 80 accounts, 70 installs, right? But it was just understanding the bigger picture of, hey, if I can do the right thing a lot of times and eventually just compound, I'm going to pass everybody else, right? Like I think from leadership in recruiting, right, we get so caught up at like, oh my God, he just landed a big fish again. Like that guy just, what'd you do from Instagram? Like the biggest thing though is like,
That comparison.
it's just like the comparison. That's the root of evil that people are having to push past. It's like for me, we just focus on our path,
Yeah.
right? I'm just like, hey, if he's grabbing that big fish, that's great. I'm gonna do it this way, and I'm gonna grab that little fish that then grabs his buddies and his like. That's how we have such a culture as we do. Is like, I mean, you'd think like doing 1,200 accounts, we got this big army of people. Like max capacity was 40 guys, right? But we just have this well knit group where, you don't get your 70 doors, you come in, you start doing push-ups,
Yeah.
right? Like we just have a clear expectation. So I think for new leaders, talking to people all the time is they're like, I can't get my guys to work. I can't get them. Well, when's the last time that you knocked doors? And they're like, well, I haven't knocked doors in years. Well, that'd be the place I start,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Whatever's
hey,
needed.
like, because our expectation is, hey, something attainable, right? Like, hey, this whole month we're gonna do 70 doors a day. Well, that first day I'm gonna go hit 70.
Yeah.
So guys know it's possible, right? Like my best week last summer was 12 accounts in a week. Well, now they know it's possible, right? So that's all I need to do is I need to instill confidence by doing it. And then everything else follows, right? Like you need to have a rabbit somewhere. And I think with leadership, we forget we are that rabbit until we're not. Right? Eventually you're not.
Until you have somebody that can be. Yeah.
Yeah, like eventually you're not, like eventually, everybody wants to be you until they realize that you don't do a lot. And they go, why is this guy getting money off a deal that I sell? He doesn't provide me any influence. And that's why guys leave. I mean, over the last 2 years, we've we've had two guys leave, like, and they weren't good for the culture, and that's okay. And we'll just keep compounding. But guys will stick through us for anything because they know that I won't ask you to do anything I'm not willing to do myself. And I think
Powerful.
it's just simple in the mindset, and I think people overlook it. And that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing is when you get to the point where where we're kind of figuring out is like you just don't want to go against the grain. Like we're doing the path less traveled on certain things, but there's certain things that people are already doing. Like, why am I going to go and reinvent the entire wheel?
Totally.
I just want to change a little bit of the spokes of that wheel to make sure that I'm kind of having my own unique sauce. So like I said, that's kind of where it comes from.
Yeah,
Beautifully said.
yeah. I think another thing that's helped us out a ton is as we go back a bit. We brought on Roshan Johnson and Dominic Civils, who started the team with Lumia with us, and they're still with us today, and some key pillars. But we didn't do this by ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, I think our job as leaders, we feel like we have to empower and develop salespeople. Where we took it upon ourselves to develop sales leaders, right? Like, what are your habits? What are the things you do? What's your rituals? And like he said before, it's like, how can I make you a better person, right? How can I see more in yourself than you see? And because of that, this summer we had, 7, 8 strong caliber guys that just wanted it just as bad as we did, and just had some strong pillars that it's one of those things where you lead from the front, like it's like you're cracking down the whip, right? But if I lead from the middle, everyone's falling, right? So once we say something, sometimes like, man, those guys are they're getting on me, whatever. But like when we have these 8 pillar guys, are like, hey, I do the same thing as you, and they hold the standard. That's what's helped us out a ton. Is we just have some guys that took the time, and a lot of them are fortunately our buddies before this, and just said, dude, like, we are counting on you, right? Like, we can't go, we can only go as far as you're wanting to go too. And so those guys hold the standard, they hold the expectation. And just because of that, that's why we can have, a decently smaller group to do so much volume. Just because, like I said, we have just such a core group. Like I said, you have just a bunch of 2 guys that say, I'm just going to make a center team, bring in anyone, doesn't matter, anyone, everyone, just grab everyone. Great, but what does it matter if I got 100 guys doing 100 deals, right? And all I care about, just go get your one deal a month so I can make an override, right? That's not the goal. Our goal is that every single person on our team sees money, especially our leaders, because there's nothing worse than bringing in a buddy in this industry and he doesn't make money,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like, I feel responsible, right? And that's why I almost, when I was at, the other company and stuff, I almost didn't recruit because I couldn't fully believe that, hey, I can almost guarantee you that you'll at least have a good experience if you put in the input. So that's why pros is just, it's night and day, because I can confidently bring in 5, 6, 7 of my like close friends and confidently say, hey, if you just follow the blueprint, like the blueprint's laid out, right? If you just follow it, like you will see success, and you will make some really good money, and have fun doing it. And that's why it's so good for us. Like, that's why we've taken off so much, is we have some really talented leaders, like I said, that just to kind of have the same mindset as us. So.
I'll put you one thing on that. I I don't know where I heard it, but it was just the idea of like, I recruit you, like I owe it to you to do my very best to put you in a good spot. If I recruit a buddy, now you really owe it,
Yeah.
right? And so I think people get scared. Like, I've talked to people, like, I'm like, hey, like, you probably have some buddies that you can work really well with. Dude, I don't pitch this to my friends. I said, you make really good money. Why are you not pitching to your friends? I'm just scared to recruit my friends over here. This industry's changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, why would I not have my friends? I literally every other day am texting buddies from middle school, high school, dude, if you ever need a change of scenery, let me know.
Yeah.
Like, this has changed my life. And
Conviction.
so I think that's the biggest thing is like it's so funny because we're in an industry that I believe in, and then we're scared to recruit because we're worried that I'm not going to put my friend in a good spot. It's like, dude, this has changed the whole exponential growth of my whole life.
Yeah.
Is the solar industry. Like, why would I not extend that invitation? It's like they might say no, every single time, but I'm gonna let them know, like, I'm thinking about them because I want better for them. And so getting a bunch of our friends, like, it just is fun, and but I owe it to them, right? I owe it to them to be able to go pound pavement. I owe it to them to go close deals. I owe it to them if they're struggling to go walk in home and give them an account. Like, I think I've told people that. They're like, what do you mean you sold the account for him? Like, yeah, I sold it and put it in his name because he just needed that momentum, and I owe it to him, right? So like that short gratification that we all have, I think that's what's really tinkering some people's businesses, they're not willing to take a new rep out, knock the door, him not say anything right behind you, and give him that lead, because they don't understand. It's not about the money; it's about the impact. You turn around to a rep, okay, that's yours. It's going to close tomorrow. I'll get it done. Like the thought on their mind of, what do you mean? Like, you're just going to give away your money? It's because it's not about the money. And I think that's the biggest thing with leadership is you can't think about the money, because if the driven factor and the goal is money, we're never going to hit the money that we want to make. I mean, I want to make $10 million in solar. I don't know if anybody's made $10 million setting and closing leads,
Sure.
But again, like I have a goal, but it's so hard. But what I can say is I want to mold my 10 best friends into young, successful entrepreneurs. That's an easier goal for me because I'm so much more willing to do that. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of that's where our leadership comes from.
Dude, no, I think it embodies a lot of what you guys stand for. I think obviously like money has to be part of it, but like it's not the focal point, and it always comes. It always seems to come when you can do that. I One of the last things I wanted to kind of touch on with you guys is you guys have have entered into what I think is the hardest part in door to door to graduate from. It's going from running one team to two to maybe three, and empowering other people to run their own team. And now you need to add value to the team that's not being directly ran by you. Can you manage the manager who manages the closers and the team? And it is a challenge. And it's like very few people graduate out of that, right? You either get stuck because you're so good at running the team directly yourself, and you just got your systems and you're dialed and you can put in accounts, you can control a culture and like everything's good. But can you duplicate that and let someone else do that and really embody that explosive growth, the law of explosive growth, or, this law of multiplication, right? That I have 4 groups that can now do all of that. You guys are kind of just kicked off your first one, and it's funny, like having some of the conversations with you guys, you'll call me and be like, hey, so this is what's going on. Like, should I step in? Should I step out? And like, it's so fun to watch you guys do this part. Cause man, like this is like, it's a whole new way to lead, and it's, you're not used to it. It's challenging. It's like, maybe talk through like what that challenge has been like as we wrap up.
Yeah, I mean it's a wake up call, right? I think you constantly say like we overassume, our people know, right? So
Elaborate on that for so people understand, because I think that's like a cardinal sin in this industry. What are you saying there?
yeah, we overassume they know. They know how to manage projects. They know how to train a closer. They know how to train a setter. They know how to deal with commissions. They know how to deal with admin work, payroll. We just overassume. We look at, hey, looks like they're looks like they've watched me for the last year do it. Like they probably know. They must know.
Yeah.
They said. You overassume that the things that you do that you don't necessarily explain, that you just figure people pick up on.
Yeah.
Running a correlation properly, organizing car groups, organizing hoods and stuff like that. And so it's allowed us to kind of take back and say, hey, like maybe we didn't prime these guys as well we thought, right? And so then it allows us to kind of step in and say, okay, hey, these guys they've understood this part of the business, but like we've lacked here. Like, how can I encourage them to like make it their own idea? But how can I provide influence? Hey, like I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but when we're running the team, this is what's kind of helped me. Whether it's communication between the two managers, right? Because it's got now you got managers that aren't twins, right? It's a different story. And then when it comes to doing these things, like hey, like this is we did all these volume, like let's not reinvent the wheel completely, right? Let's we can fine tune it. It works, right? I was telling our guys is like, it's like Nick Saban leaves Alabama, like DeBoer doesn't come in and just sink the ship and just wipe house. It's like Bama's a dynasty. Like let's keep doing what they're doing, right? Like why reinvent the wheel? So yeah, we overassumed, and so it was nice. I think it was a wake up call, right? Because we were starting to get a little bit of that ego, like, oh, dude, we know what we're doing. Yeah, Josh, Tegan, like, we don't need your help, right? Like, yeah, how many times you guys call us and say, dude, we can help you? Yeah, like, that's why we're here. We're like, oh, yeah, I guess so. And so it just allowed us to understand, okay, like, this is bigger than we thought it was. Let's take a step back. How can we get our systems and processes more dialed? And so it's allowing ourselves to duplicate ourselves. And so it starts by, like, everyone is consistent, whether it's the in-home pitch, the setter pitch, the way we run a core, the way we do hoods, so that way they can start delegating to their leaders that exact same thing, just the way we did to them. And so that way, when at the end of this year, hopefully they become a regional and they don't make the same mistakes that we did. So
Yeah, I mean, I think it just simply comes to managing the system and not the people, and I think that's important is you have really good people and you think you can rely on them, but you have really poor systems. And so when you get into a management role and you're not directly there, you think that those good people can elevate that group because they're good people. The problem is they had no systems to rely on. And so, like he said, like it's been a lot of turmoil to start, just a little bit, because again, the dynamic isn't the same, right? With managers, they maybe have only known each other for a couple of years. They don't know the dynamic of each other, where they can step in. And so having a system that allows them to go, this is exactly where I need you. This is exactly your delegated role. This is the expectation that I have. And this is when we're friends, and this is when we're business partners. I think that's the hardest part, is getting them to understand that, because we can be friends and business partners both because it just works. That's not usually how you can run business. You have to have that fine line of, hey, this is now about business. For us, we said, like I said before, like we talk shop all the time. Like our friend conversations, our brother conversations are about this. This is all my focus is.
Yeah.
It's not the same most of the time. So now going back and like he said, like we've all now going, hey, what is the pitch? Having everybody send the recording of the pitch. Now the closers have the exact same pitch. There's no uniqueness. There's not. No, let's not reinvent the wheel. We've done it. We had 5 closers over 100. Let's just go into what's worked there. Okay, so now I can have a new closer, self-gen guy, know how to close, and now he can train because it's easy. Okay, and the setting side, same thing. Knowing the pitch, not reinventing wheel, it's easy. So I think that's been the hardest part for us, is just the over assumption and just thinking, okay, these are good buddies of mine. They're hard workers. They're probably going to work well together. Well, it does come with a little bit of distractions and things of that nature too. So
Super well said. It's been fun to watch that part because I love the phone call. You called me the other day, like, bro, like, what about this scenario? I'm like, at a classic, I'm like, what do you think they should do?
Yeah.
It's like, you're like, well, are you just gonna tell me? It's like, well, this is how we've tried to like help you guys solve problems is, that critical thinking. Because like once it's you that does it, it's like it's empowering. It's like versus being told what to do. Obviously, like depends on what it is, but it's been super fun to watch you guys, and it'll be even more fun to like watch you guys do that like on a high level with outside just one group, but like multiple. And that is that regional role is so different. I think people over assume or under assume like what it entails, and it really there's really you got to be able to add value to a lot of people in distinct ways, but can't be all in on one.
right.
And it's a challenge. It's for sure a challenge. But boys, I think this is great stuff. Hopefully you guys watching this are like just soaking this up because there's so much wisdom that's being shared. Shout out to you two. Thanks for coming on, boys. I seriously like this is what guys need to see as possible, and you guys embody that. So you guys follow them on Instagram. Hit them up like for advice and things like that. If you're just getting started in that management or even closing, like just whatever, like there's so much to unpack with these two. Door to Door Twins, go follow them. But appreciate you boys coming on.
Let's go. Thanks, Joshy.
Yep.
Appreciate you, Josh. Thanks.